Welcome to the Talent Speaks Coalition, where we share stories from freelancers navigating creative careers in media. Each month, we bring you insights from a creative freelancer paving their own way in the media industry, exploring their journey, challenges, and the impact they aim to make. I'm your host, Ariana. And listen, the guy I'm going to introduce you to today is a homie of mine and also a really, really dope cinematographer and director based here in LA. Luis, welcome to the show.
Thank you for that introduction.
So, Luis, everybody that comes on the show has to answer this one question.
Okay.
It's going to be a little hard. People struggle with it,
Okay.
but I have faith that you will answer it in the most beautiful way. When did you realize that you were talented?
It is hard.
It is.
Look, I don't think I'm talented. I think I have a very strong willpower and I work very hard. But I don't really think it's something I was born with. It's just something you chip away and something you learn to do, whether, being responsible and doing things and keeping your word, I think is more important than being talented. So I'll let somebody else judge if they think I'm talented, but I just think that I definitely have the ethic to do things right and to always keep my word when it comes to work. And that gets me rehired most of the time.
That's real. As somebody who has worked with you and with other people on the team, I choose you every time.
Thank you. Thank you. I choose you too. I really enjoy working with you when we did the whole podcast thing.
Luis and I used to work at a startup podcast network. We used to run our own shoots together and produce clients, and Luis would help me edit the episodes, and it was always nuts. And also
some of them were nuts, not all.
That was like the most nuts job I ever had.
Yeah.
But it was really cool working with somebody who was like mature, grounded, and just was like, we just got to get it done.
Thank you.
So what's the best way to get it done?
Yeah. Startups are always a shit show. And I hadn't worked in a setting where it was that formal before, believe it or not. There was too much structure, I think, from what I'm used to, or from what I was used to before that. And initially I felt super unqualified for it. Because I was like, they just told me like, hey, you want to produce a podcast? And I'm like, in my mind, I was like, damn, this is exactly what I'm going to do right now with my life. And
what were you doing before?
I was shooting. I was working in camera mostly. Mm-hmm. So I would, help out my friends, or I would shoot short films, or I'll be doing like editing jobs, lots of editing jobs, just to pay the bills and just to get along. But in my mind, I watched a lot of podcasts and I was like, man, I really want that job of, the technical person or like the producer behind the scenes, making the whole show run.
Luis crazy on the live switch.
and I got that call one day and they're like, hey, you want to produce a podcast for the shoe store? And I'm like, yes. And the first question they asked, have you done it before? And I was honest, I said no, but I know I can do it. Mm-hmm. And they're like, are you sure? Like,
ooh, that's crazy, Luis, because I would have just said on the interview.
I said no, because I had nothing to show, right? I was like, I told them, listen, I have no idea, but I know I can do it, and I'm going to do it very well. And I think that got me hired. That and a little bit of charm and a little connection, because it was through a friend of a friend that hooked me up.
So since you do work in camera department primarily, do you feel like it suppresses your own like creativity when you have to bring other people's ideas to life?
Yes, 100%.
Tell me more.
That's okay. That's you got to know when it's your time in the podium, when's your time to shine. And a lot of the times it's not. It's somebody else's time. And I struggled a lot with that initially in my career, because I would be playing backseat DP with like people I knew, or like other people that would be, I don't know, shooting a film or shooting something. I'll be, pouting in the back, just I wouldn't have done it that way. Oh, I would have done this thing differently. Oh, that lighting sucks. Oh, this that. But then I realized how much of an asshole I looked like towards myself and towards others when I, it's very easy to be judging somebody from afar. It's very hard to be in their shoes. Mm-hmm. And then I came to a realization in those moments where I'm like, you know what? It's not my time. Why am I talking to when it's not my time? Clearly, I didn't do a good job, so I don't have that job. So I should focus on being better instead of trying to bring somebody else down. And
on their set,
on their moment, right?
Yeah.
Like, who am I to be criticizing somebody? Like, even if they got it through connection, even if they're not even qualified for the job, they got it and you didn't.
Yeah.
So it's not your time, it's their time, and you got to respect that.
Ooh, Luis, you always know how to humble me, because I'm sitting here like, yeah, I've definitely been like, that producer is trash.
Yeah. No,
Look at how they talking. Look how they there was that little water bottle in the corner over there. They didn't catch that.
Listen, you're allowed to have the thought, because in the end, it's you're who you are. But you are not in that position,
Yeah.
right? And
Everybody
they are.
has their time.
Everybody has their time.
Luis, what are 3 things that you wish people told you about when it comes to finding gigs in the film industry?
It's very hard. That's the first one. And it's if you don't want it enough, don't even start. Yeah, this is an industry, and finding jobs as a freelancer, it's for the ones who really want it. If you're like halfway, like, oh, I'm not sure, I don't want it, don't do it. You gotta be full ass on it. You cannot be like, let me try this and let me try that. You gotta just go for it. That's one. The other one is, people would much rather work with somebody nice than somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yep.
You can be the most expert assistant camera. If you're a bitch to work with, nobody's gonna hire you again.
Never again.
You know. Mm-hmm. And at the other side of it, if you can be amateur, in some sense, but people love to be around you, you're gonna get hired every time. Mm. They'd rather teach you and show you, this is how I like to do things, than be like, oh, I just don't want to see your face tomorrow. You know. The last thing is, there's always somebody learning whenever you're working, and you cannot shame somebody for learning. Mm-hmm. You cannot. One of the worst habits of the film industry is that some people that have been here long enough, or that have had their jobs for long enough, treat those who are coming up like they're stupid.
Yep.
Instead of being inexperienced, and treat them like, talk bad at them, make fun of them or whatever. And that is the most toxic. That is the worst attitude you can have in any workplace, right? Especially in film. You have to treat other people with respect, and you have to always teach with love and not teach with, oh, I know better than you. Mm-hmm. How come you don't know about this plug? How come you don't know about this camera? Mm-hmm. You're so dumb. Yeah. There's somebody else that knows how to do your job. Get out of here. You're fired. That attitude has to go. That has to stay behind us. You have to always come with the perspective that this person might not know something you know, but you don't know something they do. And you're not that person either. You don't know what they've been through. You don't know what they know. You don't know what they've learned in their life. So always come from an angle of love, and teach always with patience, a lot of patience with people. Mm-hmm. Because in the end, this is an industry 100% about connections, and you don't know who they're going to be. Yep. In a few months, in a week, right? They can be hiring you eventually. Yep. And if you were the one who were talking to them like shit, they're going to remember that. People don't forget that.
Yeah, it's something I've been like feeling a little bit like I need to make sure I remember to just be humble in mm-hmm. things. And like, I've been a podcast producer for like 7 years, and I was an associate producer for a long time. Mm-hmm. And that job we had together was my first title change of being producer. And it was really nice that I was given space to like step up in that way, and I delivered. Yeah. But yeah, I'm so critical now. Yeah. Or when I'm listening to different shows, I'm like, I heard the cut. Why didn't y'all make a cut there? Why didn't that guest just stop there?
That's a you know curse what I mean? That you can see that, because nobody notices. And yes, I feel the same way. I also hear the cuts. I see I see the camera settings when they're wrong. You can't do anything about it.
Yeah, it's something that I gotta keep your voice in the back of my head, being like, chill out, let people learn, let people grow.
Let people grow.
Luis, can you tell us about how you got your first gig?
In LA?
In LA.
Okay. It was right after COVID, and it was this Friday, and I had an anxiety attack. I was going crazy because I had no jobs lined up for the longest time. It was like around May. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going to do whatever I have to do right now. And I went on Craigslist.
Oh, I know. Craigslist to get a gig?
Listen,
no.
It was the bottom of despair. Yeah. And there was a posting. Some dudes were looking for an editor for a social media show.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm gonna do it, whatever. Like, I know this is probably crap. I just have to do something. I applied, and they got back to me like, hey, you wanna interview for this job? And I'm like, that's kind of weird. They're interviewing me for a correct this job, but okay, let's give it a shot. And I went to this dude's house, and we just vibed. They were pretty cool, and then they hired me to edit that show. And they had another editor, which they ended up firing to hire me and give me more jobs. And then,
Luis, you always taking somebody's job.
No. Listen. And they just said, like, we just don't like the other editor. He's an asshole.
Yeah.
We like hanging out with
when they see your quality of your work, they really gonna be like, other guy got to go.
Listen, I'm not the judge of that, but they just, again, we kept hanging out as friends and as coworkers, right? And then they just started calling me for every job that they had. They're like, oh, do you know how to do camera? And I'm like, yeah, we got this job. We got this event. We got this gig. We got this music video. We got this thing.
So it was a domino effect.
Then they introduced me to some people. Whenever they went to a gig, they were never jealous with their contacts, which is the thing that's very rare, right? People are usually very protective of who they're working with, but they were not. They were very much like, hey, I want you to meet this producer that we're working with. I want you to meet this person that we're working with. Hey, they need somebody for that gig. Can you do it? And they just, it's a domino effect from there.
That's how networking is. I don't know. I feel like meeting anybody and having anybody in your network is good. But one thing I try to do when I network with new people is like, can you introduce me to somebody else? I like to ask that. Or who else in your network do you think like I could learn from? It sounds a little corny, but like you literally have to do it. Otherwise, people are not going to like help you just to help you.
That's true.
You know?
That's true. But they got to see the value in what you do too, you know?
Yeah.
Because if they work with you and they don't see the value of moving you forward in your career, they're not going to do it, which sucks, you know? Some people are like that. But you do something very well. That just you reach out to a lot of people. You're very good at that. And I
try to keep up with the community.
But it's rare. People usually think that things are just going to land on them, right? But it's like doing the outreach and meeting a lot of people is how you actually get the things done.
Yeah, I just like feel like we should all be looking out for each other.
Yeah, we should.
The best way we can. I mean, there's some times where I brought you onto calls with people and it didn't go anywhere, but tried.
Yeah, no, it's all part of an experience, right? You know, sometimes some things we had I know what you're talking about, right? It's just some people are on their shit, some people are not on their shit, right?
I don't know. I just think I don't know. I think community is really important when you're a freelancer. Yeah. Especially when you're a transplant in a big city and you don't know anybody. Yeah. If you're coming out here and you don't have community in mind, you're going to be lonely. Yes. And you're going to feel like when you don't get jobs or things, you literally have nowhere to go. Like,
that's the worst part about freelancing. Because we moved in 2019, me and my wife, and with nobody here. And you don't know what that is until you do it, because you have nobody that's looking out for you. Nobody's going to help you with anything. You're all by yourself. And you got to start from somewhere, right? You pull your pants up and figure it out. But it's very hard. It's not for everybody.
Yeah, I'm really happy you guys had each other and made it out alive. What the heck?
Yeah.
LA is crazy.
LA is crazy.
It's crazy.
But LA gives you the energy, but you put it into it. You know? LA, City of Broken Dreams.
City of Broken Dreams? Yeah. I ain't heard of that one yet.
You haven't heard of that one?
Yeah, no, I don't want to think of that one. No.
But here's the thing, right? A lot of people move out here to try to accomplish their dreams, and they think it's just going to be handed to them, right? Yeah. But there is thousands of people trying to do the same thing you are. So you got to either stand out or make your path somehow.
How conceited are we when we move here? We're like, my dreams, me. Yeah. I'm going to make it. Yeah. It's like, girl, stand in line.
It's illusional. It's illusional, but you need that, right? Because if you come here being like, oh, see what happens, it's like nothing happens. And it's very expensive to be here with nothing happening, you know?
I don't know how people can live here and I'm like only here for the dreams to build the career. Otherwise, I can go back to my hometown.
The only reason why we're in LA is because we're working. I wouldn't have a family here.
Luis, something I really want to ask you before you leave is how do you avoid people taking advantage of you as a freelancer?
People never want to pay you what you're worth here. It's people pay in LA. In other cities I've been, people don't even pay. But here, people pay, but they try to squeeze out a lot more than what you're offering, right? So two things. You got to know the limit of how much work you're putting in versus how much you're getting paid.
Yep.
That's where you know how to set your rate, right?
Yep.
How much money are you going to charge this person so that you are happy and they're happy with what you're giving them?
Yep.
Right?
Need that balance.
You need that balance. And it's easy to fall in a trap where you're charging too little money to keep the client. I've been guilty of that tons of times.
Yep.
It has happened to me where you're like, my rate is too high and I would like this client, so I'm going to give him a good deal. And you give him a way too good of a deal.
Yep.
And what happens when you do that is that you're going to hate working for this person because you're not getting compensated for the amount of time and effort you're putting into this work. Let's say you edit a video and it takes you a week to edit, but you're charging a day rate. It's like, and you spread it out in a week. Yeah. But the thing is, you can't take it back once you say the number.
Yeah.
You can always start high.
Yeah.
And if you scare them away, not meant to be.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. But I learned that and working as an assistant camera where I had a terrible I think it was like a 14 or 15 hour day out in the middle of nowhere. And I was driving back home and I was like, I really fucking hate this. But I didn't hate the job. I just hated how I felt, right?
Yeah.
Like I liked working with camera. I could do it, right? But I just realized the problem was that I wasn't getting paid enough.
Yep.
And it wasn't getting paid enough to be carrying a camera all day, managing this whole thing, pulling focus, and then go home, wrap everything up, and then go home. Like, there's a price to that. And then I started thinking, like, how much do I have to get paid for me to be happy? And I came up with a number. And then I'm like, oh, if they would be paying me this, then I would be sitting there 14 hours later being happy.
Sometimes I've had to do this, and I do this still when I work with new clients.
Mm-hmm.
I will, like, work for them for about a week or a month and, like, reassess with them and write down literally every duty that I'm doing.
It's a good habit.
You would be surprised at how much that you do.
Yeah.
Versus how much you're getting paid for. Sending emails, taking meeting calls. You know, everybody goes over meeting times, like, or are late. Like, once I started charging people to even have meeting calls, and they would see me add an extra 30 minutes because they took an extra 30 minutes to yap.
Yeah.
Hey, that's my standard. Like, and I bet, you know, when they started invoices, they quit fucking yapping, okay?
You're tough.
For real. Like,
You're
I
tough.
don't know. You just have to be, because I've also, like, been played by people or signed up to do extra work because I was so desperate for money. Mm-hmm. And that's real, too. But, like, I do feel like as freelancers, we still have a say in, like, how we spend our time and how much we think our time is worth.
That's very true. That's so real. Because, again, if you're not looking out for yourself, if you're not setting your own expectations, nobody's gonna set them for you. Nobody's gonna take you seriously. And it's a thing. It's a weird thing. You know, you think by charging less, you're gonna attract the better clients, and it's the complete opposite. Yeah. Right. It's like when you charge more.
It's the clients who ain't paying nothing always got the most issues and the most feedback and the most changes that need to be made.
And you hate working with them and they hate working with you because you're charging too much. You're not paying enough. It's a bad relationship from the start. Yeah. Right? But then if you just say your number, you're like, I'm going to charge this. Let's say, let's shoot a podcast. I'm going to charge you $1,500 to shoot this podcast and edit it. A good client will be like, okay.
That's a good rate.
And they'll pay you.
You're going to shoot and edit it?
Exactly. They'll pay you on time. And that's it. Yep. A bad client will be like, but it's only half an hour of your day. And, you know, that's too much money. Like, we don't even know how much. We're going to give you future work. That's always the thing. They always say, like, this is going to lead to something big. We got a sponsor coming up for this thing.
And try to be like, we're trying to do something grassroots here. We're trying to build. I feel you, but you need that money.
You need money and you get paid. Like, everybody has to eat, right?
Yep.
You're going to be giving all this value for nothing. Like, at least make it worth something. Yep. And once you start setting your price high, people who have the money are going to be like, let's say they're hiring a podcast shooter and one of them is charging $500 and one of them is charging $2,000. And I have a $3,000 budget. Who am I going to hire? A $2,000 person. They're going to get it right.
Yeah.
Why is a $500 person so cheap, right? Yeah. Like, that's something that you start wondering. You're like, they must not be good.
Either they're super young
or they're super exactly.
Or they're fucking just trash.
Or they're just trash. Yeah. Well, we had an experience with another podcast. They did that. Remember?
Yep.
They're like, you guys are charging too much. I'm gonna find somebody for $500 to shoot.
And that shit was $500 worth of quality.
It was $500 worth of quality. It was the worst.
I was so mad I had to put my name on that, Luis.
But you didn't do it.
Okay, Luis. Well, in knowing your value, what is your dream role?
I struggle with that question because I want to be a cinematographer. I like cinematography very much, but I really enjoy working for podcasts.
Hey, Luis.
Yeah, I really like the producing part of podcasts, and I really like the making a show, kind of like this, you know. Like I like being the behind the scenes of that. I really enjoy that. Mm-hmm. But I studied and I worked to be a cinematographer before I started doing this. It's just life hasn't taken me that way. I have had other doors open for me, and instead of closing them for something that hasn't happened, I just walk through them, and I'm here.
I know when we met, you were like, "This is my first video podcast I'm doing."
I was honest about it. Yeah, It's the other thing. Showing inexperience and showing insecurity are two different things. Mm-hmm. You can show if you show insecurity, you're not hired. If you show inexperience, but you're like, you know what, I've never been down that path, but I'll do it, and I'll do it right. I got this. Okay, people will be like, all right, shit.
They're receptive to it.
Yeah, they're gonna do it. You know, versus if you're like, oh, I'm not sure. Even if some people are experienced and insecure, and they get a job that's just a little different from what they're used to, and they're like, oh, I've never done this exactly. I haven't done that. You know, I've only done this, and then they lose a big opportunity because they just didn't have the balls to go down the path.
Yeah, I think it's really important as a freelancer to just stay open. 5 years ago, I wanted to be a writer. I was like in my room writing random scripts and thought I was about to be the next Jordan Peele in this thing. Okay. But no.
Did you give up on it?
Not entirely. Like, I think I want to make more shorts. Yeah. Short films, opposed to like a TV show or a movie. And obviously I like doing this and just having conversations because that's what I do for like my career. But I think it's just important to stay open. You might change. Like, I went from being a journalist to podcast producer to thinking I was going to be a writer. Like, it's just all a part of the journey. Yes. And I can say now as a producer, I'm a good writer. I'm a good producer. Like, they all those skills and things that I once wanted to be, all are actually working together. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway.
That's good.
Luis, we can sit here all day.
I could. I really enjoy this.
Tell the people where they can find you.
I make content on Instagram about cameras. You can find me at luima.cine. That's my name. luima.cine, as in cinema. And I have a YouTube channel called Cine Pandemia. It's very hard to spell. It's in Spanish, but it's Cine Pandemia.
Well, thanks, Luis, for coming through.
Thank you for inviting me.
I admire you so much, and I will literally call you every time I freak out about these jobs and these clients.
I'll be here for you.
Thank you, Luis.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
And thank you guys for tuning in to this month's conversation. If you want to keep up with Luis and other members of our coalition, follow us at talentspeaks.co and talentspeaks.pod. We'll see you next time.